We've got two sample files here for you and that you can play around with yourself and see how it works for you. So you'll need two files. You'll need your office account, and then you'll need another instance of Sort My Books that's to track your client details. On the client side, I've created two customers here. I have George the landlord and Homer the landlord. And we've shown the house seller. The video that I sent you earlier tracks the details of the house sales. So those are far more straightforward. The one that's a little more involved is the landlord, where you're also the property manager. And so if we click on here, there's a series of financial transactions for George. We can see that receiving the deposit, and then he's paying the fee to you. We're paying the balance then to George. Then we can see that there's rent coming in for the property, and then there's paying George over his rent, and there's retaining outlay then for things like an electrician is what the example we have here. And I'll just show you what the output is first before I then go into the how-to. So first of all, you can see in your debtor report, you can see George the landlord here. And this is all the transactions relating to George and his money. And this is something that you would be able to save as PDF, save as Excel, and send to George. And then for audit purposes for your client account, we click on the balance sheet. I'm changing this to include subnominals. I'm going to change this to years to make it a shorter report. And we scroll down to current assets, and we're looking for the client account. When you click on the client account to drill down, you can see all the transactions in and out for the client account. Now I'm going to show you the transactions that you would have for your landlord. And then we're going to look at the other side of it, at what you do when you get to your office account. So I'll click on Homer, and I'm clicking on financial. And what you'll be doing is adding a series of transactions here. These can actually be added more easily from your bank feed, from your live bank import, which you can get from here through Account and Plaid. But for sample data, it's easier to show you this way, and it gives a better explanation of what each of the transactions are. So we're clicking on financial, and we're making a payment on account for Homer. I'll just choose a date from last year because that's the accounting year I'm going for. And I'm putting in the payment type. So for example, EFT, and we'll say that we received €1,500 into our client account, and that is rent. And we'll say what rent that's for. We'll call it 35 Park Road rent, and click on save. And then we're going to have a series of transactions against this, so there will be your fee for that, and it'll be on the same date. So you'll be on the 1st of May 23, again, an EFT payment. We're going to put this as a negative now because you've been paid your fee. So let's say your fee is 250,000, and we call that agent fee, and we can put in the details again, 35 Park Road. It helps if you have the reference when you're looking back at the transactions after. So we can see next what happens is if you have any outlay for that property, you can record the details of that here. And I'm not going to record outlay details because we want to do the example of where you've paid all the money to the landlord and then you have to make a payment on the landlord's behalf. So what we have here is an EFT payment, and again I'm going to put in the minus. So this is going now to the landlord. So it's for 35 Park Road to Homer. And click save, click OK. And if you look at your reports again, you look at your debtor report and you'll see Homer is good. You can see all his transactions, $1,500 was received, $1,250 went to Homer, $250 was the agent fee. So now Homer has nothing left in his account, but let's say there's a leak, you have to call the plumber. There's been a leak at Homer's property, 35 Park Road, but there's no money left in Homer's account. So at this point, we have to go over to your office sample. Just a tip here, I have how you toggle between the two is you click on change and you choose the other file. Now you won't have the big long list that I do, but what I'm doing here is I have them open on two different browsers. You can't have them open in the same tabs on different tabs within the same browser, but you can use them on two different browsers. So I have Firefox for our office sample. And where I'm going is I'm not going to purchases and invoices. This is for the plumber's invoice. I'm going to accounts and miscellaneous payments. I'm not yet clear what will be coming from your API, but what I can tell you is I'm doing this in the slowest possible way, that once you have your Office bank imported and the same on your client side, that this will actually, and all the defaults set up, this is actually a very quick process to do. But I'm recording the payment that was made to Build a Plumber, and in the note I'm going to put the details of the property. So I'm putting in 35 Park Road and I'm putting in Homer. And I'll click OK on that, and then I'm going to just show you what that looks like then on your balance sheet. I go to the nominal ledger reports, again, include subnominals, click apply, and then I'm looking at client outlays. And again, you can set these date ranges, but we can see here there's a balance owing to us of $220 from bill because of the bill paying the Build a Plumber invoice. And next what we're going to do is invoice Homer, the landlord, for that amount. Now we come to sales and invoices, and we're going to create an invoice for, you can see George the landlord's outlays. We're going to send one to Homer now. We go to sales, invoices, and add. We choose Homer from the list, put in our date, and here in the details we're choosing outlay and plumber for 35 Park Road, and where it's 0 VAT because it's outlays, $220. And then once we have that invoice created, we can actually I would put the detail here, I would put this in the reference. I would put Build a Plumber, and then you can click the send email and you would email that to Homer. And what we're recording then is we'll be receiving that money from your client account once the money has come in from Homer. So I'm just recording that here also. So you wouldn't create this invoice until you are receiving the money from your client account into your office account. And again, this will be much simpler when you're doing it from the bank, because you'll see that payment on the bank and you'll know that is matching my invoice that I've sent to my landlord for those outlays. And I'm just going to go back to our balance sheet here, and I'm going to refresh, and you can see our balance here is back to 0. Now, there's just a couple of questions that we have. First of all, the tracking of the movement of the money from the client account to the office account. Do you do that? So the physical bank transactions, are you showing a single payment? So for example, you've received money from Homer the landlord, you're taking your fee. Do you have your invoice and for Homer for that fee, and you make a transfer from the client account just for that amount, so that you're not, or is it a whole bunch of transactions together? And if it is, how are you recording the detail of what those transactions, what invoices those transactions should be going against. Then on the CRM, what happens to the purchase invoices for the outlays for the electrician, plumber, etc.? Is there a method to mark them paid on the CRM side? And is there a method to say whether it was paid from your client bank account or your office bank account? I hope this helps. I'm going to share the files with you and let you go in and try out a few transactions yourself. And just to show you, if you click on this help button over here, and you can submit a request if you have a transaction that you're not sure what way it should go. And I'd like to leave it with you for a few days to try it out yourself, maybe have another discussion with QD, and then we can have another team meeting and see where we are.